In this life, there are not many times when you are shocked by a piece of art. I have been to amazing museums all across the world. I've seen the oldest paintings. I've heard live bands from people that were immensely talented musicians. I've seen works of theater that made me cry. But something that I never expected was to be brought so much joy by a song about a single meatball. Around the time of the pandemic, me and a few of my friends and my lovely wife had a very small Thanksgiving. I think it was 6 people total. It was me, my lovely wife Sarah, our lovely roommate Kendall, our back neighbors, and 2 of our very close friends. Very intimate, very wonderful. We were listening to a Spotify playlist, just of old, kind of fun, jazzy music. And for whatever reason, the Spotify gods that day decided that they were going to bless upon us a song I had never heard before that felt like a classic. It almost is like that thing where you feel like you remembered it from a dream. It sounds so familiar. How could you possibly not have witnessed this before? When the song came on, everything stopped moving. Time stood still for a moment. And we all listened to the lyrics of the song and heard something stunning, shocking, glorious. And that song was a song called One Meatball.
He looked the menu through and through to see what 15 cents could do. One meatball, one meatball. He could afford but one meatball.
One Meatball centers around our hero, our protagonist, that walks into a diner, can't afford much because he doesn't have that much money, but all he can afford is one meatball. To quote the lyrics of One Meatball, the little man walked up and down to find an eating place in town. He read the menu through and through to see what 15 cents could do. One meatball. One meatball. He could afford but one meatball. Now, I wouldn't consider myself somebody that knows anything about music. In fact, my Spotify Wrapped was like 3 artists that I've never heard of before, because I play the same jazz playlist every time I wake up in the morning with my son of French music that I just can't even really recall. Background style French music. But when I hear the words of One Meatball, it makes me laugh every single time. And I find it to be hauntingly beautiful.
One meatball. One meatball.
When I was in college, I didn't have any money. So I know the feeling of only having enough money to afford one meatball. In fact, I would do a heinous thing where I would go to a local chicken shop that had something that was off menu called the quote-unquote bag of bones. They would fry full chickens on the breast, on the bone. They would slice the thighs off, and it would leave a little rim, a little residue of bone that had little fried bits in it, little fried pieces of fat, some chicken on there. They would take those, and because they're operating very quickly, slicing these, throwing them into a bag or a box, bagging up those, and for $3 exactly, you could have a big ol' bag of bones. I would buy this bag of bones and gnaw on them in my dorm room. I would buy this bag of bones, gnaw on them in bed. I understand the feeling, the heartbreak of only having enough money to buy one meatball. So when this song came on, we loved it immediately. It became a staple in our friend group. We still reference One Meatball. We put it on at parties and it brings us joy.
One meatball!
And with much thought, I learned that George Martin Lane, a man in 1855, while living at Cloverdale in Cambridge, Massachusetts, wrote a song called The Lone Fishball. And after decades as a staple of Harvard undergraduates, it was modernized into the popular hit One Meatball. According to Morgan, the song is based upon actual experience of Lane's at a restaurant in Boston. Although the reality involved a half portion of macaroni rather than a fishball, the song goes on to relate the impoverished diner's embarrassment at the hands of a disdainful waiter. It was modernized in 1944, and it was played at my Thanksgiving dinner in 2020.
The little man felt very bad, but one meatball was all he had. Now in his dreams he hears that call, he gets no bread with one meatball.
One Meatball shows the power of art. You can write a song in 1855 that played at a Thanksgiving dinner in 2020, and if it's good and relatable and funny, it still fucking bops. I'll always listen to One Meatball. And because of the internet, we are able to consume languages and art and books and comics and every single thing that has ever been created up until this point that we have on record, we can watch, relate to, and enjoy currently. So I highly suggest that you look through the archives of things that were created a long ass time ago, because we're all living the same exact life over and over and over again. And as much as we have new modern bells and whistles, we can all relate to the feeling of going to a diner and only being able to order one meatball. Hope you enjoyed your slop. I'll see you guys next week.
One meatball. One meatball.